Thank you, Darda, for that amazing perspective that's going to get us ready for these next 2 days.
Your talk was great, and it was also a perfect segue into our first pillar impact story. These stories are going to be part of each summit. They will also highlight all the work that has been done, the impact that is being made, and the future that we have in store. At this point, we would love to introduce Archie, Allison, and David Sora to come present the first impact story.
Morning, everybody. How are you? We're just going to take a few minutes to get set up. Hello?
So can you hold it from one specific? No, it's working? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. It's fine. I'm good.
Okay, good morning, everybody. How are you? Look at the excitement in this room. So I'm very excited to present Pathways 1 information today with co-chair Dave Sora. Give him a round of applause. And Babjit Sandhu, please give him a round of applause. So I'm going to hand Dave the clicker. Dave tries to hide out from me every time we do a presentation, so.
Dave doesn't even know how to work this thing. If it goes off. Oh, it's a pointer. What do you do with this thing? Big arrow. Big arrow?
Slide 1. So Pathways and Systems Development, Grassroots Entry and Participation. Our goal was to align and integrate the Parasport pathway for Ontarians. And we had 3 focus areas, participation pathways. The first being awareness and first involvement. The second being grassroots community participation. And the third, transition to sport.
I don't pay attention either.
So I'm going to embarrass Dave a little bit. I have had the honor of working with Dave as co-chair of Pathways 1 for several years now. And while all of you were asleep, Dave is messaging me new ideas and innovative things we could do to keep this project growing and going. So again, I just want to thank Dave and give him a round of applause, please. So we couldn't do without our partners. There's a number of people that you will see their icons and images for on the screen, and we couldn't do this without everybody's support and all the great efforts that they've had throughout the process of Pathways 1. Each of them led by a champion in their organization. So each of the people that have been involved with Pathways 1, again, thank you. You're truly appreciated, and your time and efforts and enthusiasm are always welcome in what we're doing. I'm going to pass the microphone to Dave.
Thank you. A few things. I don't know how you take 8 or 5 years into 30 minutes, because I do talk a lot. So I don't know how we do that. I want to say first, I acknowledge the 3 or 4 people that Darda mentioned of the OPC, in particular, Jen Bruce, who actually brought our collective impact project and merged it with this one in the very beginning. That's how I ended up here. So for any of those who wondered who the heck I was for 5 years, you can blame Jen Bruce. Second, and because we went all through COVID, I just wanted to say thank you to Karen O'Neill, who sort of led us through all that, that defeated feeling of that 2-3 years and kept us going. So thank you, Karen. It was tough, but you kept us going. So thank you. Our 5 years was pretty much bookended by the 2019 and the 2023 Parasport Games out in Durham. Thank you, Lori Telling, for your leadership out there. We got to deliver 2 new programs and demonstration sports, 5-a-side blind soccer, and then more recently power chair hockey. So that sort of bookended our 5-year period. Within that, we had led 18 projects. We hosted 15 plus 2 incubators, and we generated, we think, 14 products. We're not exactly sure. We're kind of counting still. On our leveraging our collective impact, our group of all those people, we had 7 provincial organizations, 3 national, 2 academic, and 4 from the community. Oh, I should say that I can't really breathe today. So I have if I put my hand in my pocket for this rescue breather, I've never used one before. So I Googled it. So maybe I'll figure out how to use it. If I start coughing, I'm going to hand the mic back over to Archie. I'm supposed to do this too. So this is a summary of the 18 projects. I won't read them to you, but there's a whole wide range of them that sort of arc in 6 areas that we'll talk about a little bit later in the afternoon. But there's 18 projects there. 5 of them, I believe, that Darla had mentioned that will be presented here over the next 2 days. I think that's all I would say for that for now. You can see here that when we summarize our projects, we worked in 7. We tried to. There was 2 words that kept coming up for us in Pathways. The word systemic was one, and transformative was the other. And we tried to figure out how to do that. We struggled a lot with that. We ended up working to try and figure out how to have system-wide impact. We worked in 7 areas: entry participation, transitions, pathway development, pathway support, sector capacity, and sustainability. So within those 7 groupings, all the projects fall under one of the 7. And together we think that we were able to address the challenges in a very systematic way, and to hopefully, in some cases, if we can down the road, set a foundation for being more transformative in what we do, how we do, and where we do it. And I think Archie now will introduce Babjeet.
Thanks, Dave. It is my honor and privilege to introduce you to the next speaker. This is my friend, athlete, mentor, and advocate for hockey, power sports in Ontario, Canada, and internationally now. Babjeet Sandhu. Please welcome Babjeet. So Babjeet is currently a part of the Variety Village Volt hockey team. Everybody heard of Volt hockey? Yeah. He's been playing with this sport for 8 years. When getting in the Volt cart 8 years ago, he loves the feeling of being part of a sport that makes him feel that he can run again. In 2022 and 2023, Babjeet represented Team Canada at the World Cup held in Sweden, where they've taken home a silver and bronze medal respectively. Congratulations. Variety Village also hosted the North American Volt Hockey Tournament in May, in which Babjeet's team won the gold medal. Over his Volt hockey career, he has not only had opportunities to play at a global scale, but train teams nationwide. Last May, Babjeet went to Brandon, Manitoba, where he trained an up-and-coming team and taught them the rules and tournament settings of Volt hockey. In this last year, Babjeet has added another sport, power wheelchair hockey. Thanks to Megan Hines for her tireless efforts to making power hockey grow in Canada. And under Babjeet's wing, he has really enjoyed playing this competitive sport because of the control he feels when using the hockey stick. Babjeet is currently in his 2nd year studying computer science at Ontario Tech University and is looking forward to seeing where his path as an athlete takes him. Please welcome Babjeet.
Hi everyone, I'm Babji and I play Volt hockey. Volt hockey is a special type of wheelchair hockey that is played in electric volt chairs that have a stick attached to the front, and they are powered using a joystick. You can see in the image the chairs. And the game is played 3-on-3, which is different from other sports, and it can be played on a hardwood floor or any gym surface. So now I'll get started with my journey through Volt and how it heavily contributed towards my life. I was introduced to Volt hockey through Holland Blue Review when they told me about this new accessible sport that was coming into Canada and I should try out. So this is when I first found out about the amazing facility we play Volt in, Variety Village, a place where people with disabilities can play sports and be with the community. So that year, Variety Village hosted a March break camp where they showcased the Volt chairs. And at this camp, they brought a very skilled player from Denmark who taught us how to play the game and what it was all about. So the first time I got in the chair, it was such an amazing experience because I was in a wheelchair for about 4 years and I was in a manual wheelchair and could not really move that much. But these Volt chairs, they go 15 kilometers an hour. So I felt like I could run again and finally do something. And, I had a sport to play. And it was the happiest moment of my life. And this happened almost 8 years ago in 2015. And the sport has come such a long way since then. So back to my Volt journey. After this camp, the Volt season finally started in September 2015, and it ran all the way till June. And this went on for a couple years. And during these years, we would practice the sport, and we would also go to showcase the sport in the GTA and in Ontario. So we would go to places like the Pan Am Center, where I showed kids how great the sport can be, and everyone had so much fun. But one thing we never had is competition. We never played against any other team. And all of us were itching for the sport to grow in other parts of Ontario so we could finally play each other. And this is when, right before the pandemic, we got news that there would be a Volt Hockey World Cup held in Sweden, and we would finally get a chance to compete. Unfortunately, this event was delayed due to the pandemic, but it gave us a chance to practice and improve as a team before we went to the tournament. And as soon as things started opening up from COVID, we came back stronger than ever. And in just the past 2 years, Volt has had the most expansion in history in Canada.
When you don't realize.
Volt has already expanded and formed teams in Manitoba, Alberta, and out of Ontario. Now there are teams in London, Niagara Falls, and also in Barrie. This was a huge accomplishment for us because the sport was finally expanding, and also the Volt Hockey World Cup was finally back in 2022. So to prepare for this event, Variety Village got us a coach that played power wheelchair hockey, which is a very similar sport to Volt. And this was really needed for us because we did not know how to play as a team and did not have any experience because the teams in Europe have been playing for more than 30 years. So over the whole summer of 2022, we worked hard and we ended up winning silver at the World Cup in Sweden. The tournament really showed us the global Volt community and how big the sport actually was through Europe. Everywhere I went in Sweden, people knew what Volt hockey is. So when we came back from the tournament, we had a lot of knowledge and we gained so many new experiences that Variety decided to host our own tournament in May of 2023. And that was the first ever North American Volt hockey tournament. In this tournament, teams came from London, Alberta, Manitoba, and even Boston to compete. It was a chance for all North American teams to compete against each other and prepare for the World Cup, which was being held again in 2023. Our team at Variety won a gold medal, and we were the North American champions. It was a very big achievement for us, and we were all excited to compete at the World Cup again this year. Now, Volt has given me many opportunities beyond just being an athlete and competing. It has allowed me to expand this sport and also teach nationwide. So right before the North American tournament this year, I was given the opportunity to go to Brandon, Manitoba to train their team. I taught this up-and-coming newly formed team the rules of the game and how the tournament would work. And going there was such an amazing experience because it showed me how powerful Volt hockey actually was. The kids there finally had a chance to play a sport and be a part of a community and a team, and everyone was happy and had smiles on their faces. This community in Brandon, Manitoba was so amazing that their whole community came together at their local school to play the game. And this team actually won gold in their division when they came to Toronto for the North American tournament. And I was really excited for this because I finally coached a team and they were a success. Now, all this sport, all the progress the sport was making was amazing. We went from no tournaments to having a World Cup and a North American tournament. And I was also making so much progress as an individual because it changed my mindset from thinking I'm not capable of doing anything to a mindset where my disability doesn't limit me. It was also great for my family because they could finally see what sport was doing for me and how it was changing me. And the journey didn't end here because at the World Cup this year in September, we won bronze in a higher division. I'm so glad that Volt has been successful this year, and now we have 2 tournaments to look forward to every single year, as the North American tournament is back in May at Variety Village in 2024. I hope you all can come there and see how amazing this sport is. And every year we are improving and getting better as a team. And my favorite part of the week is going to Variety and playing Volt every Saturday. So this was my entire journey through Volt, but that's not all I do. Like I mentioned before, Volt has given me many more opportunities than just playing. It has also allowed me to expand and start playing another sport, which is power wheelchair hockey. This sport feels like you're playing regular ball hockey, but in a power chair because you actually have a hockey stick that you can hold or attach to your chair. From this, I learned that even if you can't transfer out of your chair to play Volt, there's still a form of hockey out there for you. So I started this sport when I heard from Archie at Variety Village that power hockey was coming to Durham, where I currently live. And I was so excited for this because I could finally play another sport, and it was amazing. And this is all thanks to Megan Hines, who worked with Power Hockey Canada to give people more opportunities to play sports in power wheelchairs. And I started playing this summer, and I look forward to playing competitively as the season starts on Sunday. So I want to end it off by saying that no one ever thought I would ever be able to play any sports. Even myself, I did not know that there were accessible sports out there for people with disabilities to play. I'm so grateful to have opportunities to play these sports and be involved with the community. Thank you for having me here, and thank you to the Ontario Parasport Collective for investing in sports in Ontario so I can be able to play sports. And I also hope everyone here can come see us play Volt hockey. We play at Variety Village from 2 to 4 p.m. every Saturday, and it'll blow your mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Babsi.
Thank you, Babji. That's a story about sort of from entry and participation through to expanded participation. So as we said on our pathways, we launched 18 or so projects. We're on the backside now of 5 years. We are now although intuitively we thought that we would in the very beginning draw the entry map and then use it as a roadmap for the 5 years. What happened was, especially with COVID, we had to, like everybody in this world, change what we did and how we did it. We thought originally that a lot of our map building, our pathway building would be come from piloting initiatives in the field. But that obviously didn't happen. The kids that we work with were typically first out, and many of them are still not back. So we actually went the opposite way. We held the entry map to the very end. We thought that we would run a series of projects that could inform the map and the pathway to participation of how you get in and how you move. I think there were Amy Latimer is here. I was just sitting with her, and her quality, the CDPP's quality participation blueprint guided, I think, a lot of our work. It provided a good structure for us to think about how, not so much how, but rather the goal of our entry and participation, the pathway group. It was to create, at the end of whatever we are doing, to create initiatives that would contribute to quality experience and quality participation. So however you get in and however you play, our goal, I think, was shaped by that participation framework over the last 3-4 years. And so we now have, we're now at the point where we have 2 chunks of projects that we're doing right now, connecting the dots, which Archie is leading, the 4 projects, entry map, playground to podium, community clubs, and the EKO is the Empowered Kids Ontario Children's Rehabilitation Network pathway. So those are the 4 that Archie's working on, he will speak to. Oh, sorry.
So I'm excited to be working with Jessica Tinney, who's here as well. She's helping with the community clubs project. And Taryn, you've been an incredible supporter in Thunder Bay. So if you haven't met Taryn yet, you have to meet her today. She's here from Thunder Bay and has been an incredible mentor, advocate, leader, and friend too. For the EKO pathway, I see Rachel here, so I'm excited that you're here today too. The Empowered Kids groups have really kind of supported with our questions and surveys to give responses in what their needs and interests are to continue to play. And then Unstoppable Tracy Schmidt in the back as well. She's agreed to help me with the entry map and kind of building up the design and what that could look like for us to kind of move forward. The other one is Playground to Podium. So we're looking at Paralympic, Special Olympic, little people and deaf sport athletes who've retired out of sport to give their feedback on what their experiences have been, and what we can do better as well. So those are the 4 I'm kind of focused on at this point. As many of you will be familiar with some of them because we've been talking about this for a few years, but they're really starting to take light and really launch now. So thank you to everybody for your support with those.
Thanks. So as we sort of wind up, and as Archie puts together this entry map that hopefully will inform going forward how you get in and how we move. We're also working on this whole issue of sustainability, and I know Darda had talked about sustainability and you know, staying on the path and keeping eyes on the ball here. So we are leading a series of projects here. They're somewhat connected. The center of it is a community inclusion lab. So these are ways to sustain the work that we've done in the last 5 years. We will transition the part of the pathway group into a community inclusion lab. It's being led with Tamarack Institute. And we are building out a number of pieces, an active start incubator with CERC. And we're on the other side, a community lens and an inclusion model. These are pieces that we think that we can bring, we can bring all the challenges and problems into the inclusion lab. We can ensure that people with disabilities and athletes, para-athletes can participate centrally in the design and redesign of systems and programs through this process. On the bottom, you see one-on-one support for training for volunteers. We're working with High Five and Parks and Rec Ontario to adapt its High Five training to see if we can build it out one more time. We built it in 2018. We created an inclusive High Five, and now we are going to evolve it one more time. hopefully develop training for people who want to volunteer to provide one-on-one support. It's very specialized training. Design for Inclusion workshop. We were working with Rotman School of Business and Executive Leadership program to take a master's program and crush it down into a more of an introduction to design thinking for inclusion into a one-day workshop for senior management. Social return on investment training we're building with Social Value Canada as a tool to ensure that we can measure the impact of what we're doing, the social impacts of what we're doing. So we know that money in will get us product out or impact out. And we're working with the Inclusive Design Research Center at OCAD University to develop training that will support the incubator. We need facilitators, people who can facilitate design thinking, but we also need them to be able to facilitate an inclusive incubation of ideas. So we're building those 4 products, and perhaps in a way, the Continuing to Play was a project that we started a couple of years ago when we got in that post-COVID return to play, the RTP work, where we recognize that for children with disabilities in particular, as we said, first out, last back, that it wasn't so much of returning to play, because returning to play would have been, 18% of the kids with disabilities playing, if not less, or so. So it wasn't really returning to play. We're trying to figure out how do we work to continue so they can continue to play. This will evolve most likely to be an initiative about sector surveillance and monitoring. How, if we can use public health data to monitor the sector and see how healthy or unhealthy it is, how it's shifting and moving. So that's the sort of the most fundamental piece going forward that will help sustain and give us the ability to have foresight in the sector and prevent next time or any time, and be much more nimble and responsive, and if even possible, that we can be ahead of that. We can actually detect early swings, so we can get ready for changes, so that it won't, the impact on participation will not be as severe or as long. So those are the projects that we're moving through right now. Oh, thank you. Enjoy the summit. What I should say is that, and because of all that work we're doing, I mean, we invite anyone here to participate or to ask us about anything we're doing. These are all in their infancy. We're creating end products that we will then take to piloting. We will test them and we'll try to bring them to market in the next 6 to 12 months. So if anyone's interested in any of the initiatives that we are doing or are thinking about, or if you have challenges, we will hopefully by the end of this year, this year, we'll have the incubator, the Active Start incubator, fully operational, where we can identify and isolate and actually clarify what the problems are, if they are, because we don't often know what the problem is, and then bring it through an incubation process, a design thinking process. And I would be remiss to say that one of the things I had said over the 5 years, and anytime I was on a Zoom screen, and I turned my mic off, or I always thought I did, and I look at all the people on the screen. It's no different than right here. I was always I'd say shocked, and I know I said it almost every meeting we had, that I'd step back and say, like, I cannot ever believe the people that are on the screen who we were working with. I cannot believe, including this group of people here, that, if there are problems in this sector, and as Darda showed, like this whole pathway and all the challenges and going forward, I've always said, if these people can't, these are the people who could solve it together. If you can't, I don't think the problems are solvable. I want to thank all the people in our group, on the Pathway group. They're exceptional leaders. They are brilliant people. I've learned an incredible amount from working with you all. And I hope that you all join us in the next 2 days on some of our workshops, and in the next 5 years as we figure out a lot of the stuff that we just toe tested in the last 5 years. Thank you.